From sharks to prize bass and a few surprises in between, join me as we discover some of the biggest catches of all time. (10) Blue Marlin, Unofficial. When it comes to big catches, just about every fisherman worth his salt has a "it was this big" story, and that's perfectly fine. Allow them to have those stories. But when an actual true story comes along and then gets ignored because of minor issues, that is sad, and it's not to be ignored. For this is a case of technicalities getting in the way of the facts and clear evidence in regards to catching a massive blue marlin. To understand the story, we must go back in time to 1984, where a man named Gary Merriman was in Hawaii. He was there as a guest of former Atlanta Hawks owner, the NFL team, Rankin Smith. Wanting to enjoy his time, Merriman went out and did some fishing and caught a massive 1,649-pound blue marlin. This is impressive and was a catch that truly highlighted his skill with a rod and reel. He even had a fishing shop in Atlanta at the time. In terms of pure size and weight, this blue marlin was the world record holder, beating out the previous owner by a couple hundred pounds, which you would think would be celebrated. But apparently, Merriman didn't use an approved line and leader via the IGFA, who carefully monitors and checks all world record claims when it comes to fish. And because he didn't follow those exact rules, he was not allowed the title of biggest blue marlin ever caught, which again is honestly really sad. Despite this, Merriman kept the fish and put it up at his shop, as he should when you think about it. And though it may not have had the record, he knew that he caught a blue marlin that no one had caught before. Number 9. Swordfish. There are sometimes creatures that we don't know what to make of, and swordfish are definitely one of those creatures of nature where you don't know why it was created to look like that. Regardless of the how and whys, it exists in the oceans, and fishermen have tried to catch the biggest and best ones, and to many fishermen, swordfish are some of the best fish trophies you can catch. But the honor of biggest catch goes to a legendary man named Lewis Marin. In 1959, Marin battled a mighty swordfish for 2 hours to reel in a swordfish that was 1,182-pound beauty and was not only a record at the time by a good margin, but it's a record that lives to this day. And recall, that's basically 60 years of fishing and no one has broken it. So this should prove to you that regardless of what kind of fish is out there in the oceans, if it's desirable in any way, then there will be fishermen willing to go all out to get it, even if it means fighting that fish for hours on end. 8. Tiger sharks. People often forget that sharks are a fish. They're just a fish that are massive and aggressive at times and aren't afraid to eat about anything in sight should the opportunity arise. So though they are feared, they're also seen as a prize, especially to fishermen who are brave enough to go after them, because catching a shark means you have some serious strength and guile. A great example of this came in 1964, when a man named Walter Maxwell caught a massive tiger shark. Tiger sharks are known to be very aggressive and dangerous and are considered one of the most dangerous sharks in the world, making this catch very impressive in numerous ways. This record stood for 40 years. Then, a fisherman named Kevin Clapson came around and he caught a 1,785-pound tiger shark, so a new king was born, so to speak. But regardless, both of these catches are to be appreciated, and it couldn't have been easy to reel in. What's more, Clapson may have the world record on lock for the rest of time, and it has nothing to do with size or weight of the shark. You see, sharks are starting to be protected, and tiger sharks are included in that list. In 2004, it was legal to fish for sharks, but now you can't with very few exceptions. So unless that law changes in the near future, Kevin Clapson will have the infinite record of biggest tiger shark caught. Number 7. Bluefish tuna. Caught in Nova Scotia on October 26, 1979, Ken Fraser caught a bluefish tuna that weighed in at an incredible 1,496 pounds. That's right, this singular tuna almost weighed 1.5 tons. But what a catch it was, and it's a world record in terms of the biggest bluefish tuna ever caught. But just as important, this fish was caught legally. You see, Canada has very strict fishing policies, especially when it comes to Nova Scotia. You actually have to have a permit when it comes to fishing for them, and you can only do it in certain waters. To that end, the Fish and Game Committee in Canada work hard to make sure that not too many bluefish tunas are caught so that the ecosystem isn't disrupted. With all that in mind, it makes it all the more impressive that Ken Fraser was able to catch this massive tuna. 6. Alligator gar. No, not an alligator, an alligator gar. Yes, this is a real kind of fish, and it's one that can get quite big, as one Bill Valverde found out back in 1951. He was actually fishing out on the Rio Grande River in Texas when he got a bite from a 279-pound beast of an alligator gar. But the funny part about this story is that this catch honestly almost didn't happen because of human error. You see, Valverde and his buddies actually hiked over to the Rio Grande in order to fish, but when they reached the place, they had a problem. They didn't have any bait. Yep, they forgot it back at home. Not wanting to go all the way back, they dug in the earth and found some earthworms and thus went fishing. Not for the gar, they actually went fishing for mullets, and that fish was the bait that they used to catch the alligator gar. Now, they had much issue bringing in the fish apparently. The gar wasn't hooked at all, Valverde told Boys Life in 1972. I was able to bring him in because he was holding onto the bait with those big teeth. If only all catches could be that easy, am I right? Number 5. Black marlin. One of the most popular fisheries out there by far is marlin fishing. These massive creatures aren't just big, they're heavy, and fishermen actually created special chairs for their boats so that they could sit in them as they fought the marlins for sometimes hours on end, just in the hopes of catching one. Then, when they do, they typically like to mount them on their walls as trophies. Plus, they know that if they catch one, they made an effort. But as for the biggest catch in regards to the black marlin species, that would go to Alfred Glassell Jr., who is not only the world record holder to this day, he held that record multiple times for different marlins that he caught, proving just how legendary a fisherman he was back in the day. The first time he got a world record was in 1952, when he caught the black marlin, a fish that hadn't been caught before, which makes it all the more impressive that he got it before anyone else. Glassell would lose the record for a brief time, then he would get it back, and then he would to himself when he caught a 1,560-pound black marlin. Just looking at the size of this marlin, you can't help but wonder how he caught it, but no matter the exact method, he did indeed get it, and in fact, the footage that he took off the catch was actually put into a film called The Old Man and the Sea. You could argue that because of the records he set, that Glassell Jr. is one of the greatest fishermen who ever lived. 4. Largemouth bass. The largemouth bass is one of the revered species of fish in the world. It's one that many fishing competitions are held for, so if you're watching a fishing competition on TV, many times you'll see it's for largemouth bass. Now, in a competition setting, the biggest largemouth bass ever caught was by a fisherman named Preston Clark back in 2006 during the Bassmaster Classic. It was an 11-pound, 10-ounce bass. However, it's not the biggest in the world. For just 3 years after Clark's epic tournament, a man from Japan named Manabu Kurita shocked the world with the reveal of a 22-pound, 4-ounce largemouth bass. So if you're doing the math, that means Kurita caught a bass in the wild that was double that of Clark's from the tournament. What's more, it was caught in Japan, not in the US, where a bunch of diehard fishermen are trying to break the record. Either way you look at it though, these largemouth bass catches were each legendary in their own right. Number 3. Striped bass. When it comes to hunting big game, or even game of any kind that requires serious effort, there are certain species that hold a certain place in the hearts of those who go after them. When it comes to the world of fish, the striped bass is just that. It's basically the holy grail, or at least the record of being catch of a striped bass is. The fish has actually gotten a cult around it more or less, as the group is the most passionate about not just catching the striped bass, but breaking the world for it. Why is that? Well, let's just say the person who owns the world's biggest striped bass record is rewarded heavily, which makes the tale of Greg Myerson all the more epic. for he did catch the world's biggest striped bass, a massive catch of 81.88 pounds, and he has proof that he caught it. Believe it or not, he caught the fish in the waters of Long Island Sound, which was close to his house in Connecticut. So he didn't have to go far to get the record fish, he just had to wait for his time. But the best part about this catch was that there wasn't any controversy over the catch. A previous world record holder didn't follow proper procedure, and so many weren't happy with the record going to him. But Greg Myerson did, and so he gets to hold the true title of having caught the biggest striped bass. 2. Catfish. Catfish are a very interesting breed of fish, and they're ones that fishermen really enjoy catching for one reason or another. And yeah, they can get really, really big. For proof of this, you need only look at the giant grizzly of a catfish that was caught in Thailand in 2005. This catfish was so huge that it actually took multiple fishermen to bring it in. Why is that? Well, it's because this particular catfish was over 9 feet long and weighed nearly 650 pounds. That's a lot of girth for a catfish. The locals of the Thailand area where the fish was caught had known that catfish loved this area and that they were able to get big, but none of them suspected that they could get that big. The only sad part about the catch was that the fishermen were going to throw it back into the waters, but it was so big and heavy that they actually couldn't, so the fish actually died. If you're still curious about why this catfish stands out from the rest, the average weight of a catfish in a large size is just under 100 pounds. So depending on how you look at it, this particular catfish is about 8 to 10 times larger than an average large catfish that you can catch in regular waters. So yeah, that's a thing. And not surprisingly, after this catfish was caught and taken a picture of, a lot of fishermen went to Thailand to see if they could catch their own monster catfish. As of yet, it hasn't happened, but it may only be a matter of time. Number 1. Great white sharks. As noted, many shark species nowadays are actually protected under fish and game laws. But that doesn't mean that before the laws, many fishermen didn't try and catch them. And that includes the legendary great white shark. Despite their aggressive nature and incredible power, there have been many fishermen who have caught one over the years. However, many of them fall under the "it was this big" category. That being said, on April 21, 1959, a man by the name of Alfred Dean broke the bank, if you will, and caught a massive great white shark. How massive exactly? This massive shark weighed 2,664 pounds, which beat the previous record for a great white shark catch by an astounding 1,500 plus pounds. To this day, it's the heaviest fish ever caught and recorded by the IGFA, and given the rules against shark fishing now, it's likely to stay that way as the top catch. Oh, and in case you were curious what kind of bait would be used to catch a mammoth shark like this, it was a porpoise, and despite its weight, it only took about an hour to reel it in. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think about these amazing stories of fish being caught? Which story was your personal favorite? What kinds of fish have you caught before, and how big were they? Do you dream about catching fish as big as some of these? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.